People think it's Tim Cook. I also think people can hear us. But,
Oh no.
let's see. Yeah, okay, so we are streaming. I think. All I see is okay, yeah, we're streaming.
I see the thumbnail still.
Nice.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. So I could just like pause this and then
Wow.
remove it, and then we're back.
Whoa.
There we are. Look at that.
Look at that.
Now we're actually streaming, I think.
What a time to be alive.
It seems as if we are. I'm looking at the YouTube. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
are. It
I
popped
see
up.
us.
Awesome.
All right.
Yes. My
Cool.
Hi, chat.
hello, chat. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I feel really blown out here.
It's Waffle House time. Yeah.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
The Breakfast Thunderdome. Oops, can't say that anymore.
Yeah, so what happened there?
Oh, God. Dude, my last 48 hours, I don't know. So, yeah, like, to start, none of this should have been an issue because when you upload a YouTube video normally, you know how you can put it unlisted and it runs, like, the copyright
Yep.
checks and whatever. I did that, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And then, you know, released the video, all is well. The video was, like, not doing great, but whatever, you know. And then all of a sudden I got this notice, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah, so that was, like, fighting with YouTube chat people, and I assume they're all robots. I don't know at this point. I
In
feel
one
like
way
I was talking to, like, GPT. And even if they weren't robots, like, it was very apparent that they were working off a script. Like, I am so sorry to hear you are frustrated about
Well, you've
insert
been talking
topic.
to Bard, not ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. So it was like, whatever. And then, yeah, I requested a review, a manual review, and, you know, that's not a thing. So it got upheld, and then it got upheld 3 separate times. So it was like, if I
Oh my
I
God.
dispute this again, I could get a strike for nothing. So then I'm like angry tweeting and whatever, and then I make that short. YouTube starts disabling my comments across that short, and then a bunch of comments are getting held for review. And then, like, my whole channel was in this, like, spiral because I think I was under, like, probation or something. So then a couple people who watch my channel tweeted at the YouTube creator liaison. I've never heard of this person
I did.
before.
Yeah, I hit him up.
Okay, yeah. So people started tweeting this guy. I've never heard, and it pissed me off even more because, like, you're telling me there is one human being on this planet who is able to do anything.
I think he's almost like just a public figure that
was the
people
thing. Is
think
I was like,
runs
who are
things.
you, and why is this your job? And like, and he, you know, like,
Who was that
nothing
guy
personal
from
against him.
Microsoft, like Sergeant Corky or whatever the hell his name was, the guy who like ran Xbox,
Right.
who would like explain and apologize for all the fuck ups all the time. That guy.
And that was the thing, is this guy was like, and he was very professional and whatever, like, all credit to him, but I was just mad because it's like, then he didn't even, you know, look at the tweet for context or anything. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to do your job for you. And like, why is this your job to begin with? Why is it my job to keep settling this when I've attempted every correct avenue of contact for all of this? And then eventually, at least to my understanding, it's now been marked as like normal, full revenue, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
But it's still, in my end, I still see it as being processed and under review. So I don't know what that means, but like, my understanding is that happened because YouTube tweeted back at me and was like, or excreted back at me like, hey, we've made a mistake, sorry. You know, and it was like, then why did I have to waste like hours chatting with these reps who can't do anything? And that just made me super mad. So then I was like up all night dealing with that, re-enabling the comments, and then I just got super mad and decided to make that other video.
Yeah, man, I
like,
saw
okay,
that.
let's go.
I was like traveling around the state, and I like watched that while my car drove itself, and I was just like, what the hell? You've churned that out really fast. Like, I've been working on the same
that was one
video
of those
for
ones
2
where it was
weeks,
like,
and
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat down and just did it. And yeah, I went and grabbed my suit jacket and a different shirt and then just nailed it out. And then, I was like up editing that and then still dealing with this. And then my wife came up and whatever in the morning, and I did the song at the end and whatever. And I was just like, I was
wondering how that fit into the whole, like, I'm doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning thing. Cause it was clear that you were both involved in the finals.
Right. Well, and it was just all throughout like the night because I was just up doing this. Cause then, my whole channel was like on this weird lockdown, and I was trying to get YouTube to, like, you know, why are all my comments suddenly under review? Like, why are you know, I can in real time in the analytics, I can see everything getting nuked. And I was like, am I under some kind of like algorithmic probation until this is resolved or what? Because then like comments were getting disabled. And even still today,
Yeah,
I
the
saw,
disabled comment thing was weird. Like,
and then
that
I
was
kept
straight
seeing
up.
comments coming in on my video, and normally like they get held for review or something. But like I saw new comments coming in, and I'm sitting here approving comments and whatever. And then I would see comments that were made, and then by the time I would refresh the page, they were gone, and people were commenting back. Like YouTube seems to be deleting comments. So I don't know what's going on. But then, weirdly enough, the brand record label video, the whole thing that started this, now has like a 17% click-through rate.
Which is high.
Insane for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really high. That's crazy.
And I was like, okay, because then I've noticed too, like a lot of my viewers are returning viewers and not new viewers. And I've been in this weird spot for about 6 months where I'm not seeing any new viewers, but then my playlistification video went like semi-viral, I guess. And I got a huge spike in new viewers, and I'm barely seeing new viewers. And I looked at the rant video I did, because I got a lot of comments saying like, this is the first video I've seen of your channel. Like, I've never heard of you, and the algorithm is suggesting this to me. So it's like, so did YouTube as an apology lift the algorithm blanket off my channel all of a sudden? So I really want to talk to that creator liaison
I don't know.
guy.
That is very bizarre.
And just ask like, what the hell?
That's
because
funny.
I'm getting to a point where I think my next goal, because I really want to get out of the music space to begin with, at least like, not, you know, like, I want to get into what I want to be doing and all, but
the
it's
music
like,
space on you, like making videos about music stuff.
yeah, and just like kind of stuff like that. You know, I don't want to, because like I like doing it in shorts and I like doing live streams and stuff, but just I don't want to be in the music space anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of a lot of things about it. You know, I know we've all talked about this, but then the other thing was like, I want to talk to this creator liaison guy, because it's like, what are the implications of this on my channel going forward? And I'm almost at a point where I think one of my next moves is going to be try and push my patron thing a bit more to where if I could make what I make off my patron thing, and basically like I only need to like double it. I don't have like a huge amount of patrons to begin with, but if I could double that, I could just turn off all ads and make my whole channel ad free.
Yeah,
and I think that would be even better, because I think that's an even bigger middle finger to YouTube, that like, I'm going to produce content for free on your platform, and I'm not going to put ads on it that you're going to take 45% of to begin with. I'm going to do my patrons, keep 100% of it, and dump 40 gigabyte videos on your server.
So we'll keep 87% of it, because Patreon is. Yeah, well, what MP said, it is a black box. They don't really know. Like, all he'll tell you is, like, the algorithm is made to make viewers engage as much as possible. To just keep people, they're not built around the content as much as they're built around the viewers. Yeah, but yeah, and meanwhile, BusyWorks beats just.
Oh my god, I don't.
Apparently, just. I wonder how many people has reported his channel for that. For that, just.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
no,
I guess I'll pull up a screen.
Yeah, your connect the dots screen.
Yeah. Let's see. Share screen. No, not that one. Just kidding.
No.
I don't have a screen like that. Yeah. Like,
And he's uploaded more. Someone on Twitter that I think initially kind of dropped the ball on that was like, I bet all my money that his next video is titled da because it was a Navi D. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Navi D title, and BusyWorks immediately dropped a video like minutes later with that exact title.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think it's so maybe this fella in the chat here can tell us. So I think like Navi agreed with Weaver Beats and part of that drama, and that's sort of where it's coming from. I think he's actively like, I don't know how the hell we are. There we go. Okay, like, yeah, I don't know how. Like, I think like he's actively trolling Navi D. I think that's what he's doing. More
I think he's
so.
just trying to do anything to revive the channel. I mean, he's obviously looking at videos with high view counts and trying to replicate them. Yeah.
Oh, hey, here's a great question. Okay, do you want another screen grab?
I need it. I need more liquor.
Yeah, so I'll tell you real quick. Here's my Nebula journey. Really quickly. I have been back and forth with people saying, hey, have you considered Nebula? And I thought it was a really interesting thing, and I wanted to know a little bit more. And about 6 months ago, I contacted the CEO and was like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about the structure? And he just would not, he would just be like, you don't understand how the business works. Just like things like that.
I
like
don't know
like
anything
these,
about content creation or
these
anything
sort
like
of
that.
short, like bursts of, I don't know, just not the most professional way of answering. Quite, you could have just ignored it. And I was like, whatever. And then I noticed that, so I guess all in 1 week, Mary Spender uploaded a video that had a very similar title to one of mine, and literally, if you like pace it, it's kind of clear that she took my video and rephrased it herself. And so it's not really like copyright infringement as much as it is just like content plagiarism. And she it's one of my second best performing video. And yeah, sure, that's weak. That sucks.
Right.
But
Well,
it's
I've
on
seen
Nebula.
people do that with like my free plugin videos. I've seen people ape that title 100 times.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world. I really wasn't that pissed off about it, but it being on Nebula, like a subscribe service that I've not been invited to or allowed to be on, I was just kind of like, eh. And then the CEO basically tweeted some stuff about having invite codes to America.
Oh, the immigration, the visa thing.
Yeah,
right?
claiming that he could immigrate Nebula creators to America, and that he pays all the legal fees. And I asked him further questions about that, because that's like kind of the visa that they were quoting isn't a real. It's not a path to immigration. It's emigration. It's not a path to immigration. You can't get a green card through that visa. And I asked him a couple questions to clarify, and he just blocked me. And
that's how I handle that.
Someone just said,
yeah,
Mary
and
Spender,
I was just,
Mary Spender Behringered your video.
yeah, well, and then the real engineering guy, he's like another Nebula, one of the people who co-owns so basically David Wiskus owns 50%, and then the creators own the other 50%. So it's kind of like how Moog was structured, where it's like you have a bunch of people who are like, we're in charge, but they're not. Once it's sold out, once there's a private equity buyout, it's gone. Yeah. At least that's my understanding. I don't want to say anything that I'm not sure of, but
I don't even think it was a 50-50 split with Moog. I think it was like 49-51.
Yeah, 49-51. Yeah. So I don't know. I started sniffing around, and one thing that I did notice, and this isn't even trashing Nebula, it's just kind of funny. One thing that I did notice was there's a video that Wendover Productions made about Nebula. And and he made it just basically saying how we started a $150 million company with $100,000, and he was referring to Nebula. And investment groups saw this, and they were like, whoa, Nebula's worth $150 million? That means CuriosityStream is worth way more than we think it is. And they just pumped the CuriosityStream, which is a public stock. It's Curie, right? Yeah. And so I'm shorting Curie like crazy, because they have an actual quarterly report coming out next week, I think. And so far, so good. So far, I've gained like 27% on that short. And so it's kind of funny that the CEO's behavior is like making me more money than YouTube at this point.
I think the idea, and because I got a bunch of comments on my rant video about joining Nebula or like doing one of the other competitor services like Odyssey and things like that. And
it's like Nebula or like the super far right ones, where like Andrew Tate and Alex Jones are your other co-creators.
I feel like the idea behind people suggesting Nebula, and I see it come up in you guys' comments a lot too, because I fucking chronically online, but like I feel like the intention behind the comment is people who create higher effort content feel like they should be part of a separate platform almost, but I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the idea, because like
I don't at all. I think it's stupid.
Right, because like if I wanted to produce stuff for Nebula, I would focus much more on the education aspect. Like I would probably start like a philosophy thing on Nebula, or like I maybe talk more about like music theory or stuff where it'd be very education focused.
The issue is why? Like why why gatekeep it behind?
Well, and that's why I do stuff on my patron program now. Yeah, is like I'll put tutorials and stuff for patrons only, because I think that sustains me as a creator and it gives people the content they really do want to see, but I don't have it posing a risk to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think part of it is YouTube's just pigeonholing problem, but you know.
That is a big problem with how the algorithm treats people, and it's that like it will start to make decisions based on data that comes in, and once it's made certain decisions, it's almost impossible to get it to stop making that decision. Some people claim that they have ways of doing it, but I don't think any of them are foolproof. And so it really is kind of a bit of a trap to try to do anything other than
what you become known for to the algorithm
what you become
gods.
known for. Exactly.
And I've been really lucky to pivot a couple times, and I'm hoping after this latest incident to be able to pivot a little bit more into some things I really want to do, and you know, just be able to challenge myself more as a creator.
Yeah,
because, you know, and that's
you
why
have
like
to do something that makes you fulfilled. You know,
right. And I saw that
fulfilled.
like that Tfue video just recently in researching another video, and like a couple other YouTuber burnout videos I was watching for research, and just
we're gonna talk about burnout.
well, I mean, just some of them made me really sad because I feel like I can empathize with that idea so much, especially with like to a lesser degree because don't have experience with it, but like the gaming ones made the most sense, where they were like, you know, these gaming YouTubers who had gajillions of subscribers, and they were like, I mean,
because they were playing. Like
imagine
Minecraft.
playing the same video game 8 hours a day for 6 straight years, and it's like that is YouTube.
Yeah. That's I can
And
see that being.
And there was one. I hope she's doing better. There was one that like legit made me tear up a bit. It was from I got it in my notes here. Let me find it.
You have feelings?
I sometimes.
What's that like?
Yeah,
Weird.
I'm trying to get rid of them.
YouTube's really just taken the last of those and disposed of them properly.
It's Alicia Marie. I think she's like a lifestyle or like beauty tuber, and just like, god damn, that video hurt.
And so I think this is a perfect segue into something that I didn't know if we planned on talking about it, but our
We didn't really plan. Yeah, no plan.
thumbnail for this kind of like hinted at it, and that's like that burnout is real and mental health is real, and especially for creators, this is not a the algorithm is like the worst boss to have. Like,
and it's funny to make content on the mental health aspects of it. That's been a big focus of my channel lately, because when you get called like a sellout, a shill, a dumbass, a wannabe, like, you know.
My favorite is you chose this, so why are you complaining? Like, I was like, I'm going to make a video about determinism and whether or not we have free will, just to prove you fucking wrong.
And that's the stuff that annoys me, is like people are like, you're just faking it. I saw one of the like circle jerk posts of like, this guy can't possibly be dealing with these feelings. You know, he has a career in music. And it was like, yeah, I'm invalid because I have a YouTube channel. Fuck me.
Yeah, that's actually, that seems to be what it comes down to. But yeah, I don't think anybody should be playing with the concept of burnout and as a like a way to clickbait people, and unfortunately that has become it's becoming more commonplace in certain
and that's been the research for that video I'm working on, and it's just like I told you guys the other day. I mean, just watching some of the ones that were bait just put a knot in my stomach.
So here's the thing, is if Adam Neely uploaded a video that said I can't do this anymore in the title, and if I were walking my dog and noticed that in my news feed or something like that, I would stop. I might even stop a conversation I was having.
Yeah, because you want to know
what is going on, because I like him in person, or you know, he's a likable character, and I want to know, and I'm concerned about what's going on.
Well,
and
it's
I'm like,
creators
fuck.
you like.
Right, and it's like, does he have cancer? Is
Right.
he like going through a mental breakdown? Like, this is very serious. Is YouTube banning him? Like, what could possibly be happening?
Yeah.
And then I'd watch it, and then if the video were like, I just can't do this anymore with the melodic, with the harmonic scale of
my god, that's exactly what it would be.
I would fucking I would unsubscribe immediately, and that's what I've done with like a dozen creators at this point, where I'm just like, you fooled me, good one, bye.
Yeah. You took advantage of my like real human empathy, where like I was actually like had real concern for you, and you turned it into
a 14-minute Sweetwater ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta say it, I like Emily. I like her content. This was one of the things that brought up this entire conversation, because I didn't think it Damn.
Sorry.
No,
Is that
easy
echo
on
now?
Emily. Easy. Don't say that. No. I think it. With that video, I did that exact thing. I stopped what I was doing. I was genuinely concerned, and it was like a neat prank with two of her, and I was like, cool. And I didn't even watch it past a minute because I was like, I was bummed out. I was like,
bummed out too.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
that's your viewers really like you. They care about you, and you've kind of exploited that for a click.
Well, and I think the other
Sorry,
thing, though,
Emily. I
is,
just think that's not
as
the
we've
best way to do it.
discussed a couple times, there's something to be said for the audience expectation of that video. Like, we all know at some point our favorite creators are actually going to be facing like problems with the platform because it's just a system designed to eat itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good way of
And I
putting it.
think, you know, and given especially like the nature of the creative life cycle, like every YouTuber lasts, I think, what was that one video from one of the ex-liaisons, I think, of, 5 to 7 years is the expected life cycle for a YouTube channel. And like you have that peak
Well,
and then it
really?
slopes off.
Because we have a Rick Beato video that says
Right.
nothing lasts forever. And I think it's about that. But,
Yeah. And I saw that video and it was kind of interesting to think that like, even with, and I think Ben, you and I started around the same time. Jeremy's been around a bit longer now.
Yeah, but I
And
mean, I've just kept quiet, like in public about the fact that like, I feel like my channel died already.
Well, and I feel like I'm probably in that decline now, and I just don't, know it yet, because it's been about 5-6 years now, I think. So it's like, I guess I have already peaked at my channel, maybe, but I got lucky and was able to pivot a little bit. So I hope but again, this all sets up the idea that like the audience knows that there will come a day when, so and so can't make content anymore, and just to leverage that to revive after, because you get those 2 or 3 algorithm bangers in a row, you get that false confidence, you slope down, you post a burnout video. That's like everything I've seen lately, and it's all in the span of about 6 videos, because you'll see 2 really successful ones, 3 plops, and a burnout video. And just to leverage that expectation to try and revive a channel is gross.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Does YouTube, like, does being is there such thing as creative entropy?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that there is. You like Ben, your videos depend. Actually, you and Cameron both depend on having good ideas. Like you depend on having either interesting or good ideas, and especially with Cameron, like you're trying to say stuff about mental health and creativity.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much to say on these things. Like there is going to be a point at which you're just like, holy shit, I've literally given all of myself to this channel. I have said everything I can say about a subject.
And it all comes across as fake and entitled and pretentious.
Well, I mean,
because I happen to shoot it with, lots of depth of field. And
I remember we were in the car, Cameron, somewhere. I think we were like in the desert somewhere. And I remember looking at you and being like, are you ever scared you're going to run out of ideas with like the new format of your channel? Because that would be like my biggest, like the reason I can't completely let go of pro audio is because I'd be terrified that I'd run out of ideas otherwise.
I don't think so, because I like the challenge it presents to pivot, little by little. And it's funny because like kind of what I want to touch on my next video is like next week's video I pulled after this whole YouTube incident, and I'm just going to put it up on my Patreon program. And I had about 3 or 4 other videos that I'm not going to put on YouTube anymore, just because, I think I'm done. I think I'm done playing with that. And it's funny because like one of the things that's annoyed me is how well negativity works, but I think it's just, negativity bias and whatever. But seeing my last couple videos, my last couple videos sloped off a bit, and it was because I pivoted back more to like, because people are like, oh, he's the Eeyore of music. And then, I do something more positive or more like kind of like the brand record label one is just like, hey, here's something really interesting I've been like just stuck thinking about for weeks, and it's a 9 out of 10 video. But the second I talk about the darker stuff, it picks up, and it's frustrating because it pigeonholes the content, whatever, but it does present a challenge of like, well, what else can I do that's going to be a 1 out of 10 video? And I think maybe the future of my channel, and I think my audience has just changed so much. I still get the odd comment, like, go back to gear videos, you whore. But like I think the future of my channel is just in that evolution of itself. So I'm not too worried about it, because I think when I run out of things to say about a certain topic, it's like easy to kind of move into other things. Because I think, you know, now I've got enough buns in the oven here, so to speak, to talk about like free speech and corporate censorship and like the nature of an algorithm versus a creator's ideals.
Yeah.
And, you know, what is the nature of patronage? And that's none of that's related to music. And then I'm going to get bored of that, and then I'm going to go back to like Waffle House, proof we live in the chaotic timeline. And like you know, and I would love, and I'm sure, you know, as you guys know, definitely, like I'm extremely into like cinematography and writing and, you know, all that stuff. And it's like I would love to move more into like the short film aspect of it all.
Yeah.
But just got to find the way to pivot from A to B.
Nebula, man.
Nebula.
Yeah, buy stock, because you got to buy in. So, yeah, buy your way into Nebula. You'll be great.
And that's the thing that frustrates me is people, not many people, I mean, it's only a handful. And, you know, and I get that shit too. Like the synth circle jerk fucking hates me. Dogs on Acid fucking hates me. And it's like, oh, boo-hoo, 12 people in this thread don't like my channel. I don't give a shit. I'm not making videos for you anyway. You know, I'm making videos for myself. Fucking what a concept that is. And yeah, it's frustrating just to see, yeah, I think the audience is tired of a lot of what the YouTube music space has become. And that's the thing that annoys me. And I think that's also been the thing that's helped elevate my channel and also challenge and elevate me as a creative to stop doing the thing I do anyway on YouTube. Because that's the thing is like after a while, you know, and you guys I'm sure know this, like I make music and stuff all day. I make sounds and stuff all day. You know, I'm scoring stuff or making sound packs or doing presets or, you know, doing like bespoke sound design projects. The last thing I want to spend 12 days of my fucking life doing is making a video about like low-end phase alignment.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
Why not?
well.
I don't know. I feel like weirdly I've had some success with bouncing back and forth.
Yeah,
and you know, like this
I like
this,
the bouncing back and forth thing. Like honestly.
This week, I mean, the next video I'm doing is like very
Right.
technical music stuff, and I've been working on it like an hour a day for 2 weeks just because I've had like deaths in the family and funerals.
And I think
and
that's
stuff.
the thing, though, is it's just about finding what is it that fulfills you creatively to
Yeah.
make content about. And for me, it happened to change a bit, and a couple people complain and whatever, but a lot more people really enjoy it and really find value in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it's something that happens to interest me and also happens to do better for the channel, then why wouldn't I go after that? Because I think,
Right.
and I think like that was like the Rick Rubin thing is, I don't remember if that was in his book or not, but talking about just like, you know, when you find the thing, you have to push it as far as it can go. And that's
So
the
in
nature of
his
being a
case,
creator.
like not wearing shoes would be like
And yeah, having insane hair, right?
yeah. So it's like hair
Fucking
and no
gross.
shoes. When you find your thing, just go full on. And he did that
Yeah.
his whole life. Yeah.
And I think the other thing is like in GearTube, you get the yes man problem of like your
What-
audience just kind of feeds into what you're doing and I think the other problem is it's also the inverse. If people don't want necessarily like unbiased high quality reviews and demos, they just want confirmation that what they bought is the right thing. They want
Yeah.
to hear their opinions in your voice.
the whole music tech YouTube space is kind of just noise at this point. Like it feels as if there was just the core of people that did pretty well at it, and then all of a sudden it became just insanely well. First of all, it became more accessible to do, and then like it became the goal to become a music tech YouTuber, so to speak. So now the amount of content out there is just insane. Like I talk to students all the time who are like, "Oh, I watched a bunch of tutorials or videos on this thing. I'm still not making music though." They're like, I'm not getting any better." But so there's like so much more content to consume, but like it's not really good. It's not really helping people. So it's another reason to just get out of that whole thing.
When I was reading the pitch decks for Francisco Partners and Native Instruments and all that stuff, and to respond to Nornick's comment here, what they're saying is like they were sort of like, no, like it's not about making music that people listen to. It's just about a creator consistently spending money on more products and not necessarily making anything. Which I knew already. Like I would say that 50% of the people who, you know, are gonna buy I don't know, maybe a cheaper piece of gear or something, but like I would say that 50% of the people who are buying this stuff aren't actually producing music, and that's totally okay. They're not
Yeah.
posers. It's okay to collect synths. It's way cheaper than like buying boats or buying vintage comic books in
Right.
some ways. It's
And,
like
if
totally.
it brings you joy to like buy a
Yeah,
Hydra Synth Explorer and play with it for 20 minutes, like that's fucking
it's
great, dude.
fun. That
Yeah.
it's super fun, and that's why we do it. You don't have to be like a legendary producer. But I think that was the first time I ever saw, that being propped up in an actual business plan or a pitch deck.
It's like
where
they
they're
know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The whole like by musicians for musicians mentality that a lot of these companies kind of start with is probably actually in the backseat for a lot of companies. It is, even the products are just content now. They're not really, they're nothing, like, for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's in the hardware world. Like plugin world is even worse in a lot of cases. Like, holy moly.
Yeah. How many? My there's a new thing I'm being targeted for on Instagram ads now. I try and count how many vocal to MIDI generators there are per year.
Oh, no.
Like how many of those come out. We're already on number 2 this year. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that people are still making the same thing and being like, it's revolutionary. Chords don't exist. Only one note at a time. Instead of this, you could just sing, which is way louder and more difficult, and you're going to be out of tune. And
because everyone's just naturally a great singer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea is so fucking flawed. And it's just like, it's so hilarious that it keeps coming up, but. Yeah,
it sounds like it would be a kind of a fun video topic to just like get all of them and see how just like much more difficult they are to use than just normal things.
Thank you, Weaver Beats. I was about to complain about this the other day, and I got sidetracked. I was about to tweet like, how many granular plugins are we going to have at this point? Because like, there's nothing new happening. Like, make a new granular. Like, make one that's not just like, okay, check this out. This is a new type of granular plugin where you have grains and seeds, and it's exactly like all the others, but it's totally new. Buy it, yeah.
Like, running it in my head, I think out of the last couple months of plugin preset design gigs I've done, God, like close to maybe 40 or 50% have to be granular. It is kind of weird.
I'm going to be the dissenter here and just say that, like, I keep them coming. I fucking love granular plugins to death, and they're all different. Like, it's a base concept, like grains and moving through a piece of audio, but every single one is different somehow. And like, I don't know. I think there's opportunity to find like your perfect granular plugin,
right.
Which I do appreciate. But
I feel like
oversaturated.
On iPad, I really enjoyed them just because of the interactivity of. Like,
oh yeah, do we really need anything more than Borderlands?
Like, yeah,
no,
right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that one blew me away. Yeah, but no, it's funny. So I guess then we have to. I suppose people probably want us to address Behringer.
Let's talk about Behringer.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
So they suck really hard.
Well, they lied about Loop Hop.
They lied about Loop Hop. Yeah.
And then they gaslit everybody with that apology bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess let's go in order here. Like, for some reason, they said in a Facebook post that Starsky Carr was going to probably review one of their synths, and Loop Hop wouldn't because they don't send Loop Hop free gear.
Right.
Loop Hop responded in either a tweet or on Facebook saying, hey, yo, actually, you gave me carte blanche to your whole catalog for free to review. I don't do anything like that because I think you all are a bunch of scumbags in terms of your business practices, which
imagine that.
They are.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I wish we had just had a timeline of all the bullshit they've done in the community. But I mean, like, honestly, the way they treated Peter Kieran was
actually, I mean, Jeremy, there's your next video is the Behringer iceberg. Please. I would watch the hell out of that.
That would actually, Behringer iceberg would be nice.
Behringer iceberg is a great video. Yeah, that's a great video idea.
Yeah,
but comments would be very spicy. There is there's a good video out there already from like a pedal channel, I think, that goes through like almost everything they've done, including the Peter Kieran stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I feel
Yeah.
like I saw that somewhere. I think I was searching around on YouTube for something. I think I ran into that video.
I'll find it real quick.
But yeah, the Peter Kieran thing was just like, yeah, that was just.
So for those of you that
weird.
don't know, Peter Kieran, did he write like a somewhat critical article about something? Is that how
I
it
don't remember
started?
how it all. It
He-
was
I-
something like that, or
he,
he
like,
said
he
something
wrote-
about Behringer.
I mean, he like wrote I think it was because of like a MIDI fan article because so basically here's so here's the timeline with the from how I remember it, right?
Mhm.
MIDI fan, which was like a Chinese publication about music and MIDI and stuff like that. They wrote about the working conditions in Music Tribe City. And they wrote about the strike that because basically they built this giant city and
literally a fucking city. There are
Yeah.
videos like showing it off online. They're
yeah,
very
it's funny. I have it like on another tab right now, and I'm like, how do I bring this in with it looking decent?
He covered the
yes.
swing. Oh, okay. Mark Losper said he covered the swing.
Mhm.
Their Arturia key step ripoff.
No, it was before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was before that. And so basically, Behringer sued MIDI fan for defamation, or they threatened to sue MIDI fan for defamation to the point where like they had a lawyer do it. Now, the big problem with that is that in China, if you lose a lawsuit for defamation, you go to fucking jail.
What the fuck?
And so it's like they were trying
Okay.
to have these journalists put in prison
Cool.
over this, over reporting on something that actually happened. There was a lot of worker complaints. Something like 80% of workers were suffering some form of symptom from, and if you read the reports on it, it's like, and again, these are just reports that I've read. I have a mountain of data, but these are reports that I've read, and I cannot say whether they're true or false. They're from workers, and they're from, people who are a lot more closely involved. But they were saying, like, apparently they got brought into this new factory. They were having trouble breathing. They asked if they could open the door or open the window, and the manager or whoever said no because air conditioning cost too much. And then they ended
Right,
up coming
yeah,
down with
yeah.
like, all
Like
sorts of
lead
symptoms.
poisoning and shit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, somebody got, I think the worst case was somebody had leukemia that is questionably traced to that. And so, whatever. But this dystopian fucking city where everybody works in the same place, or where everybody sleeps in the same place where they work and eat in the same place where they work. It's dark.
So 16
as fuck.
tons and the coal mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some fucking like 1960s Soviet shit, right? And so, so that happened. Then Peter Kern wrote about MIDI fan and about how Behringer was threatening to, was basically essentially trying to get a journalist put in prison. And then that's when they hit back with the ultimate, cork sniffer thing.
Right.
So they went and they actually they CG'd a prototype up of a fake product and made a video about it that it involved. They called it the cork sniffer. I don't even know if it's supposed to be a synth or a pedal. It doesn't really matter. It had a caricature of Peter Kieran on it that was clearly modeled after the Jewish what do you call it? Stereotype racist.
Yeah, the Nazi propaganda
sort of
for
like,
Jewish people. Yeah,
long nose and clasped hands. Like it was
It was bad.
It was really
bad.
There was no denying that that's what it was. Like honestly, and
and they trademarked his name.
Oh yeah,
that's right. That. Yes. Just like really, really bullshit stuff. So that's just one thing that they've done. But honestly, that would probably be enough to kind of sign off of them.
Well, and it's like, imagine any other company doing that.
Yeah, really. Like
any
seriously.
other company in the music space did that. Oh my god.
Does anybody in this chat just have like an expendable $500 that they do not care about, that they like, for $500 you could troll Behringer amazingly. I'm gonna show you how right now. I think everybody else here knows exactly what I'm about to propose, but $500 could really if you want to, I'll find it and then I'll share the screen. with everybody. I hope they haven't noticed yet. Well, I'll get back to it in a minute. We'll keep going on with the story.
Oh yeah, so we are now back at loop up period. Like we're now back in the present.
Yeah, Behringer has offered me free gear directly in the past too, before I did my video on them, of course. But it's not. Yeah, it's not like this. Crazy.
Well, I think they've offered like everyone in our space free stuff because it was like either through them or through like some marketing company or something.
Yeah.
They could no. I was directly. I remember getting an email from them directly a while ago, and I was like, "Fuck y'all."
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here?
They didn't renew this trademark and image. I've managed to find this. So you could
buy that.
You could buy it.
This could be
for
yours.
about $500. This could be yours. You could
to
own
do with
the
as you
Behringer
please.
ear.
Yeah.
That would be,
that
I'm not
would be a
saying you
real
should.
Shame. Yeah,
I'm
that'd
not,
be a shame if someone did that.
Yeah, it would be a shame if somebody just made shirts with this on it that said "fuck you" or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that would be like a really immature thing to do. Don't do that.
Yeah, like these. I don't know. These.
Don't waste money on doing the same thing that they did to journalists by trademarking their name.
Yeah.
Even though this is a low-hanging fruit that would be a legendary thing to do. You know,
if someone for some reason felt inclined to do so.
Yeah. Oh no, it already says what it's for. It says it's for goods and service and stuff. Can you change that? Can you change the like purpose of the thing? Because you could just put it on dildos or something.
You could.
Yeah, you could. You might have a little bit of trouble with the name because the name I'm sure is still like, but you could absolutely use the triangle, because right here it says ears, human ears, plain single line and triangles. This legacy is for sale. I mean, it's not even for. I mean, all you gotta do is register it. Yeah.
They
don't do that.
Don't do
that.
that.
Crazy. It would be nuts. Don't.
They besmirched YouTube and Loop Up, and in that process, they actually kind of like the weird Behringer stands went after Loop Up too, at least in like Facebook and stuff like that, which is just
that was the whole point of the post, is like send people after Loop Up. Yeah. Like, because that's what they do. Is they're however, like
no, they knew exactly what they were doing.
I got a notification. I said a couple things to them, and they've of course censored me, so anything that I post doesn't show up to anybody else except me. And I've like responded to a couple of their things, and then I'm like a #1 Behringer fan on Facebook from these few interactions, and it made me realize how few of these people that are constantly doing it, because they don't have that accolade. And so that made me realize, like, oh, these are like just there must be so many fake accounts interacting with them. Because you read these comments and you're like, who the fuck are these people that are just so like that have Behringer altars, in their house that they're like praying to? Like these people can't exist. Like I've never met a person like this in my entire life. And then you realize,
to be fair, I mean, like there is the argument that like due to it could be developing countries or countries with the like that you just haven't been to, like, it's possible that because they make cheaper stuff that people with less money buy it in other countries. I don't fucking know.
Oh no, I mean, like in this stuff though, they're just like, I mean, Behringer had changed my life for the better. I had like these crazy stories where it's just like, oh, I couldn't walk until I got the fucking Model D clone, like these nutty stories that then Behringer reshares, and they're like, this is from a customer, and it.
Like, yeah, sure it is.
And if you look up, and I mean, I'm not going to like drag any of these people out on a live stream, but like I have done like a reverse image search on some of these people, and they go to different people elsewhere on the internet. And so they are fake accounts. And so it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and here's my thought with the entire thing. Like, why did you not capitalize on your position to be able to manufacture everything from these semiconductors to make these big runs of things? There's so many companies in the United States that like went under or have WMD, for example. They bought their own like machinery to do what they do in China in Denver, and still couldn't keep it up because they just couldn't find the facilities to keep making their products. And they eventually said, fuck it, we can't do it anymore. And they gave up. Behringer could have capitalized on that. Behringer could have said, you don't even need to use our name. We'll make your shit. Like, here, let's cut a deal. They could have really capitalized on, like, literally 30% of audio gear could be made in Music Tribe City. And we wouldn't even know the difference, and we wouldn't care because it'd be fine. It's all the same, right? And so it's not like they're using, like, you know, cum to fucking make synths or something. They're using the same, like, stuff that everybody else is using.
That we know of.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, it's not, they're not like doing anything nefarious with the materials. It's like it all's the same compounds with the plastic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so like basically use your powers for good, not for evil. But that doesn't really seem to be what they're interested in at all. And it's very, really weird. Was there more to this? Like,
then they claim to be nonprofit, which I'm
not for profit.
Not for profit.
Well, they've changed it a few times. Yeah, so like that was also, and part of me wonders if I'm like being really egotistical, or if like I was wondering how much that has to do with me, or if it has nothing to do with me. Because
right. Yeah.
After I got my nonprofit license for this channel and announced it, that was the first time they said we are basically a nonprofit as well. That was like in May or June or whatever it was.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that they like literally that week, and I remember seeing it and being like, okay, well, let's just not engage. And then once I started interacting with them again, they started.
You're saying they and them, like we keep on referring to Behringer as if it's a person, and that's because their fucking like social media is all it seems to all come from one person, and because it's all the language is just the same, and it's all infuriatingly stupid. And so they have this presence. Like when you see the Behringer logo and you see a tweet or a Facebook post from them, you're like, here comes some bullshit. And it's always the same flavor of bullshit. And I'm like, who is Uli? Is this what he does? Does he sit like?
No, he's the one who fills the synths with the cum.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, congratulations on his virality. He's getting up there in years, and that's impressive.
Behringer tried to sue Twitter.
Because people were saying things on Twitter they didn't like.
Because people were saying that Uli like was visiting prostitutes or something, and so he tried to sue Twitter to like find out their identities. And I think like a First Amendment protection or something came into play. But I mean, things like that. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
There's some actual. I mean, there's the business side of it, which is abhorrent already. I mean, like and then there's the social, psychological, social side of it, which is equally as just batshit. Like it does not make any sense to me how a company of this size conducts themselves like this. This is like Elon Musk kind of bullshit, and that's not good. That's not a compliment, you know.
But we see that, but we see that on a wider scale too. You know, like we see, like the Elon Musk thing is like there's way more money involved. There's way more conflict of interest involved. And we're seeing it out in the open constantly. We're seeing, you know, the signs erected without even getting permits from San Francisco. We're seeing all sorts of every day. It's some new bullshit where it's just okay, you know. But
so let's get back to like, because I think when we planned this stream, one of the things we talked about was like we wanted to talk a little bit, maybe we still do, a little bit about like just like how it works for like people in our position when companies like talk to us about demoing their products, it falls into a couple different buckets, right? Like there's this review thing, and for a review you're really not supposed to get paid. Like and a lot of the times, like magazines and stuff like that, or Sonic State, for instance, you know, Daddy Nick, you know, they don't keep the gear, they send it back, and this is how it's always been with like magazines for like forever. So they get the piece of gear in, they get to know it, they do a article about it, a review, and they get to be you know, unbiased. They get to like say good and bad, and then they send it back, and there's no money that changes hands, so no one can, you know, say that like they were coerced or whatever. But with YouTube, there's a whole bunch of other different things. Like there's like the demo or the walkthrough, and those you can get paid for, and you should, because you're actually at that point like creating, you're creating specialized content around the device itself.
Well, and you're
Yeah.
using a lot of skills, which is
Well,
like
and
I
also
retweeted Steven the other
something
day
that
about
should be pointed out, whether you like Loopop or not, he doesn't ask for money.
No.
He doesn't get paid for any of his content, and he should. Like, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that like Loopop, from my understanding, he makes money through ad revenue, Patreon, and exclusivity, having
Yeah.
the first, being the only creator to have a video on a synth for a period of time. And some people really dislike that. Some other creators have big problems with that. But I do think that he should just have a
Rate.
like a rate for, $2,000. I'll make a video. Like I
Right.
would almost prefer it, but I feel like the average viewer would see that as like
a problem.
a bad thing. But he could maybe not do the pros and cons part, or maybe leave that for a different video or something. I'm not really sure. But another,
he walks a fine line with it, and it's
Yeah.
it's complicated. It is complicated. I think he's trying to make sure that that people can't come and be like, you're a shill. Like that's
Right.
what everybody else gets called if
yeah.
you're-
So
Well, not without good reason though, because there are a few in our space, like not to name drop and all, but like yeah, it is a
there's-
problem. It's a huge
there's
problem.
different degrees of it, right? Like yes, it's complicated.
Okay, so let's I'm gonna have a couple examples. So we have this
Okay.
thing, right?
Yeah,
The
let's
Uno
talk about
Pro, this Uno Synth Pro X. I've already
Yeah.
been called a shill for having it on this side stream channel, which like gets no monetization at all. The entire reason I have it as a side stream channel is because like my other streams were just too much pressure, and this is for my
Sure.
patrons. So they asked me if I wanted to make a video. They offered me money. I said no. I said if I could think of a good idea for a great video, and if you could fund part of that video, then we can continue talking. But most likely that's probably not going to happen, just
Yeah.
because
I
I
was in
can't
the same
think of a
position.
good video. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't really, and it's not because it's a bad product. I just can't, I can't really place it in, unless I'm like shooting
Story.
it or
There's
something.
there's no real story around the thing. Like
Yeah.
you could like, oh, what's the history of
Yeah, this is a
acid
good video,
monosynths?
right? This is a great video. The Osmos is a great video because it's
But
like
I think
this-
that's the mark of the different kind of tiers of content creators, not even within
Yeah.
our space specifically, but like, tech YouTube in general and whatever, review tube in general. Like
yeah.
Mm.
the higher
Okay.
effort content creators look at a piece of gear extremely differently.
So the two big questions here that like anybody watching this should like, I really want them to ask themselves this question. So first of all, if I didn't get sent anything for free ever, and I had no relationship with any company, and I went to Amazon or Guitar Center or whatever, and I spent money on this, what does it cost, $500 or something?
Yep.
Yeah, so I spent a good amount of money on this, and I brought it home and I played with it. I have confirmation bias at that point. I have confirmation, but like I don't. Otherwise, if a company sends it to me for free, there might be a little bit of bias where it's like, well, I don't want to slight them because they sent me something for free. But if I spent my hard-earned money on it, and then I'm way more likely to advocate that it's a good thing that's worth your money.
Right.
And you could see that with, I mean, how many fucking like different products are? I mean, look at Apple's entire business model.
I've done
Everybody's
it
not
too.
being. Well,
I've
sure.
done the exact thing.
Teenage
like,
engineering is a great example of like
Yeah.
how many people like will just constantly ignore the flaws of an Op One just because they spent an enormous amount of money on it, and so
Sure.
that's like a very real thing.
But then
This-
that's like I said earlier, that's the thing with the people watching these things is oftentimes it's not people going out to buy the gear, it's people who have already bought the gear. And if you say that you don't like something that they
Sure.
like, they bitch.
Yeah.
Or if you use it in a different way, then you're wrong because you're a sellout shill.
When I
idiot.
made my brand loyalty video, I was going through a lot of studies that were so insane, where they would like ask people a ton of questions on what kind of car they wanted, and then like interview them a few weeks later, and tell them that they said something different, show them different answers than they said, and they would agree with what they thought they said.
my
Confirmation bias is that
Yeah.
crazy. So so the second proposition is so I go back to Ben and Gear, and I just review stuff and I rate it from 1 to 10 or some bullshit like that.
1 to 10
And,
bends.
Yeah. And 1 to Ben. I'm the top, and then 9's under me. So,
I give this a Venus theory. Womp, womp.
Yeah. So I take this and I love it. It's amazing. It's great. It does everything I want it to do, and I don't really have any problems with it. But now I'm going to seem like a shill.
Right.
So I have to invent something to bitch about in order to seem real. Otherwise, you're just going to watch other channels because they seem realer than me. And I guarantee that I can spot some channels that have behaved this way, that have done shit like this.
Like I just kind of have to say a couple like, it bothers me a little bit kind of thing. Like if I was going to pull something out of my ass for that, I'd be like, it doesn't have a power switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it kind of bothers me like this, but it's something I think I can get over,
or you have to come up with like use cases where it's like, if I was using this live and needed to unplug the MIDI DIN in and out 20 times, the jack wore out a little bit faster,
Yeah,
like
right. Yeah.
Like it's the opposite of solutionism. Like you're just making shit up for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's like when I melt this thing down and then try and like reform it back into its initial.
It's
lumpy.
Not a good reason though, because
and
you
it
get
smells.
these people.
Yeah.
You get these people that are like, well, I bought this and I was trying to use it with a Mac running OS X 7.1 with Pro Tools this, and this didn't work because it doesn't accept this USB port, and it doesn't work with this MIDI generation plugin, so this thing is trash, and you're an idiot because you didn't know that.
I wish there was a name for that sort of like really hyper specific like failure state that people arrive at, especially online. Like, well, they'll be like, I hated that thing. It sucks. And then you're like, oh, well, why? I'm genuinely curious. I was thinking about getting one. And then they list like what you've listed. And you're like,
isn't that called Gear Space?
That's what I've like. I was just looking at the tracker subreddit and I was like, so many people have not touched this yet. Are just like, I fucking hate the UI, and it's like, you've not even used it.
And I think
how could you possibly hate a user interface you've never seen?
I feel like all this kind of leads into the thing we mention all the time, though, is like the problem with so much of this space anymore, both on like the creator and like consumer side, is like, are people making music?
I mean, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. And I can say that because as somebody who's pivoting more towards like content that's adjacent to music, I'm trying to like kind of broaden a little bit because
which like fucking great job, by the way. You've been making some like great shit.
It's fun. I wanna be weird and I want to do weird shit, but when I don't just do like, I'm gonna sit down at my modular rack and like talk about something that leads to a full track or do a bunch of demos that I can then turn into full tracks later, I do make a lot less music. So I can extrapolate that to the rest of the world and make an assumption that the more time you're spending, talking shit online or making just the most unnecessary content because you think that you should be, because, that's what it looks like you should be doing, then you're not making music. The people that are out there like really changing the game are never going to make a piece of content ever. Like
ever. A few days ago, I got a package early that I wasn't, and it has nothing to do with audio gear. And I got a package early of like a hot product that I wasn't, I think FedEx just goofed and sent it to me early. And it's this, it's this thing.
Oh, you got a Foldy. Wow. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I got the Z Fold 5 and I used it for like 2 days in a like I said, I've been traveling around the state basically between, I've just had crazy family shit going on.
Oh, wait, no, you're going with that. Sorry.
Yeah. So just for crazy family shit, I've been like traveling around the state. I've been like multitasking like crazy, sitting in a lot of waiting rooms and, stuff like that. And I've been I use this, I set it up pretty painlessly, just USB to USB. And then, I have a little stylus on it. I've been, getting work done as much as I could from a mobile device. And then it just came out officially like yesterday, I think, or something. And my entire news feed is just like 0-day YouTubers saying that do not buy this. Like with no real, they're like, it's not that much faster than the last one. It is a significant improvement, but do not buy it. Yeah.
The Z Fold 5.
And it's just
not
like, well,
what you think?
Yeah.
Right, Mark?
Yeah. It's just like, well, what's the problem with it? Do not buy
tried
it.
the phone. It just, I can see the wall of thumbnails.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, and I've experienced this from companies back when I was doing more gear stuff, like a very hard pressure to get something out on release day. And I would specifically tell them I do not want to do the release day blitz bullshit. Like, I want this to have some time.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put a video out on it. And also, like, again, mentioning, like, I'm really after higher effort content. I'm not interested in, like, the
it's the
launch day format.
gadgetification, the gadgetification of music gear.
And like, there are companies that quit talking to me after I told them I'm not willing to do release day stuff.
Yeah.
Zero day is not fun. But I specifically with that Uno synth, like, I filmed a video involving it, just sort of where it was part of a bigger thing, and I was like, I'm not putting this out on 0 day, like,
too much. It's just, I mean, that's really the, like, I mean, that's sort of, it's weird because I hate to say it, but like, it kind of, that kind of spoils it in a weird way. Like, I feel like if I were a consumer, I would probably be less likely to buy it with the, embargo blitz happening. Like, I would be like, well, clearly the companies, these aren't, because it just doesn't feel as organic or anything.
Well, and
like
I think
that.
though the audience is catching on. Like, in the last couple of years of
they make fun of it every single time it happens. I mean, on Reddit, which, let's be clear, like, fuck Reddit and fuck Gearspace and fuck all the forums, because they are a really specifically type of negative place when it comes to the world. 2023 was the year that I just, like, I got off Reddit completely. Like,
well, that was the thing, is like, once I quit really caring about social media, quit looking at comments and stuff constantly, my mental health elevated so quickly just from being like, whatever. And then, again, exiting the music space has been huge for me, and I've been able to make a lot of progress on, like, things I've been working on after leaving just this toxic, shitty hellscape of cum syrup and anger.
Oh, there's a lot of cum in this stream. Is that normal? Is there usually this much cum? Like,
usually, let me look really fast. Yeah, so we have like a 6 out of 10 cum scale right now. Usually it's around 4.5. Yeah, so
we're not quite at a full Ben yet.
I have a 32-inch wall display that just tells me, like, how much cum is being talked about.
The cum stream.
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, like, it's been weird because and Ben and I started around the same time, but Jeremy's been around a little longer. And, like, Jeremy, I remember your channel really early on when I was just, like, kind of getting more into, like, SynthTube, because you were kind of in that first wave almost of, like,
I feel like I was, and that's weird to say. Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it, but I think
No, you're right. Yeah, like, so it was like, Andrew was like all the way up here, and then, like, eventually I kind of, like, grew into being part of the, like, same echelon, not like from a subscriber count or even like from a content, but sort of just
like one of the people, like,
right?
I very specifically
it was a small group of people, and it kind of felt like there was, like, each person had their own kind of purpose within. Everyone sort of had it was like you assembled the team, like, so, like, you would have Loopop would do this kind of video, and Bo would do this kind of video, and Cuckoo, and everyone sort of had their niche, right? I always felt like I was kind of outside of that. Like, I was always trying to be different. I was always trying to do something that was, like, not that the same as everybody else. And then it kind of just became. I'm thinking about it, Weaver. I got to find the right level of irony for it.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned that before. Yeah, like, but go on.
Anyways, I had mentioned this earlier. Like, the space is saturated. And you mentioned first wave. It sounds pretentious as fuck, but, like, the success of a certain type of video will lead to more types of videos. The reason I don't do open one videos anymore is because they were so successful. I was just basically, someone stole the entire format from me. Like they just like one for one took it, and like I was like, this is fucked up. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. And so, like, what do? You pivot away from it. But at that point, at the point when that happened, the very point where like I started to see the proliferation and saturation of GearTube, for lack of a better way of putting it, and even creative GearTube, where you're, like, trying to tell a story or try to, like, talk about other subjects. It's so saturated now, I don't really know what the fuck to do. And so
that
Yeah.
was where there was a change, because in that first wave, it was a very different relationship and how people perceived the space at the time. And then, like, when I came up, it was kind of like Sadowick and Seamless R, and, you know, Ben had started his channel and was a really big fan of his early stuff. And there was kind of this different take on it happening, but then there was like this extremely technical production side of it with like Frequent and Mr. Bill and, you know, but then there was some other like stuff coming out with like Ricky, you know, and because like, I don't know, Ricky kind of really invented his own format in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know how
absolutely.
to describe his things, but like that was one of the big things. Then, you know, started my channel and I started doing the same bullshit everyone else did just because that's what I was interested in. And then,
Yeah.
but I feel like there was the pandemic and there was a huge shift in like the amount of GearTube content consumption and the amount of people buying gear, and then
I was
just like
just
the level
thinking
of
about-
toxicity and insanity that
Yo,
came
just
from that. And
as,
now
as a
like
quick side point, like the level of engagement of gear videos during the pandemic was so much higher than it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I think now we're almost in like this other wave of everything with GearTube, and I think the audience is sick of like the gamification of everything within this space. I think a lot of the creators are sick of it, but I think there's also, you know, and that's the nature of YouTube, is you adapt or die.
Yep.
And I think that's been one of the things I've been noticing with other channels sort of starting to pivot, is I think they've realized that, like, I think we have currently reached the end of GearTube in its current form. Like, it cannot evolve any further.
There's
because it just
nothing.
became
There's no
end
place
game.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like there's just this end game thing of the, you know, people selling the how to become a famous synthfluencer course and all this kind of bullshit, and then, you know, it all devolved into just like general YouTube, and it makes me really sad in a way. Like I mourn what synth YouTube was a couple years ago, because I remember that, like, watching Ben get a new piece of gear was exciting. And then when I got a new piece of gear and I was making videos, it was exciting to be like, I got this thing and I'm really in love with it. I've been making all this music with it and I really want to talk about these things. But then it was like, you're a sellout.
Yeah, I'm actually embarrassed to do a video directly on a piece of gear at this point.
Yeah.
Like, unless it has some kind of like
And
really
I just outright
strange...
refused. And it's weird that the treatment I've gotten since then has been like really odd from companies.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they don't know what you are. They don't know how to
Right.
deal with you anymore.
Right.
I think there's something that like the another factor to this is that the industry, the music gear industry, like especially with hardware, is in dire straits right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure that people realize how bad it is. Like it's actually really bad.
And it's frustrating too, because there are some companies with incredible ideas right now that cannot do what they want to do.
Yes, there are companies where like if their next product fails or if their next product doesn't do amazing, they are done. And it's to the point where I'm like a lot of the crazy shorting stuff that you see me doing, that I'm talking about on Twitter and stuff, I'm doing that to try and buy equity in a few different companies that are struggling. Like it's I'm trying, like, and I'm also in the part of my daily life right now is also trying to find investors for companies where it's like, no, look, their roadmap is awesome. It's just that right now they had the pandemic. They couldn't buy semiconductors. They were completely screwed with that. And then all of a sudden they were able to buy semiconductors, and everybody said, oh, we want this. They had so many pre-orders. So then they went all in and they made all the products that the people wanted, and then people stopped buying shit, and now it's all sitting there. And to like go back to Behringer for a second, I think that's actually what's happening to them. I think that they ended up like getting out of so many different retailers and only working with Sweetwater, or in America only working with what? Sweetwater and Amazon. And guess what? Amazon charges you money for pallet space.
Aren't
like,
they?
If your shit's not, yeah, they're
I thought
on
Toman, and they're on Toman as well. Like, right?
Yeah, in Europe, yeah. But like Amazon charges you for pallet space. How many more people are going to buy a Model D clone at this point? Because they made a whole bunch, and so it's. They also fired their like two unrelated sources who worked at Behringer told me that they fired their entire R&D department. And so that means they don't have a roadmap currently. Like they are that, and that also explains like they being the not-for-profit company they were, they valued themselves at $2 billion and were trying to get people to buy them. And then everybody laughed them out of the room with that. And then they turned into an IPO, or they're trying now to turn it into an IPO where they become a publicly traded company, I think, on Asian markets. And so they're kind of doing what Avid's doing, where they're like doing that like dance around the grave. What kind of ideas could we? Not saying that Behringer is going to go out of business, but I think
they are going to go subscription only coming next month.
I would love to see what debt they're in, because keep in mind, interest now is way the fuck higher than it was during the pandemic, and so Anyway.
People bought. Okay, so the irrational exuberance that happened during the pandemic from every single fucking company it's so fucking wild. Like, the fact that like every tech company had to lay off tens of thousands of people, and that like every company got fucked after the pandemic came back. Like, why? Because line went up for a little bit, you dumb fucks.
Yeah. Well, I think Ben pointed that out at one point, of this insane system of overvaluation based on like certain trends.
Right.
And it was like, when people are at home all the time because they're not working, turns out they might do other things with their time than work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
Have
cook
hobbies
or make like these worker bees seem to be sentient.
And are
they like doing other things besides commuting. This is
right. And the most anti-socialist president in history, Donald Trump, was just sending checks to everybody.
Yeah.
And then also like there was like a delay on student loans, on mortgages, on rent, all that stuff where people could carry them over, and so the average American the average American citizen is not going to do the responsible thing. They're going to get through the hard time by buying, a fucking hydrosynth or whatever. And
I think a lot of
no
people,
fault of their own. They don't really know. That's like that's what you expect. That's what any economist would tell you.
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of people just wanted to start making music too. It wasn't just like, let's buy stuff. Like, a lot of people I talked to were just like, I started to get into making music during the pandemic, and it's because they fucking had time all of a sudden. They actually had time to themselves to not commute, to not have their brain completely sucked out of them at an office. And like, I think that's the real travesty here. Like, the economic stuff fucking sucks, but like, it's mostly that like a lot of people now just like have dropped a hobby that they were actually interested in because they no longer have time for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between that, and then it's so funny because some of these companies, or a lot of these companies, got PPE loans.
Yeah.
In that time too. So they were actually like, a lot of this growth is also subsidized by. I'm trying to remember the last one I was looking at where did Avid get PPE loans? But yeah, a lot of them got PPE loans. Where I was just like, why? Like, you didn't need a PPE loan. Like, you're not like a beach restaurant, that like. Yeah, so
it's been a weird couple years.
There's a YouTuber named Renegade Cut who does a lot of like, essentially he's an anarchist, so he does a lot of really interesting political content from the anarchist perspective. And he had was it him or somebody else? He had a video on PPE loans and just how fucked up that whole thing was. It is more massively fucked up than I had any idea. Like, it is insane how the money was spoilt in that whole thing.
I mean, just getting checks in the mail for me was like just getting checks in the mail from the government. Or I actually didn't get them, which was fine. I was able to like deduct them from taxes the next year, but for some reason I filed taxes too early. That was the reason I didn't anyway. But I remember just that concept was just like, that is so bad, in the sense where when you have this like public emergency and the government's like, well, here's some money. like I was just thinking, because I was just
may the odds be ever in your favor. District 12.
I was just like, what if we sent everybody tests and you could go to work as long as you passed a test that morning? What if we did that? Like that, what if we spent the money on that? That would make way more sense, and the economy would actually get restarted enough to continue over on the other side. But
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I bought me a couch.
yeah, I didn't think I bought anything with it, but yeah, anyway, but I did get checks for the people who used to live here.
Oh, that's really weird.
And,
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I like obviously ripped them up because I don't want to go to federal prison, but yeah, I was just, and they live in Bosnia now, so they're and yeah, they're not even citizens of the country anymore, and they got checks. And I was just like, wow, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the pandemic was definitely like a watershed thing for the whole like gear tube space, and I think even maybe a lot of YouTube too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's just a shift in YouTube culture in the last couple years, and yeah, I think that was also a major part of me just pivoting out. Luckily, it's been working out okay so far, even though people like complain about me all the fucking time.
It's so fun to be living through all these historic
right.
that we don't even know like how this is gonna end up affecting the psyche of this country. Like there are kids that went through this shit, you know, like it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Everything's a disaster.
Yeah,
that's the stream.
It's funny the things that I remember, it's funny, like there's just weird things that I remember that stuck in my memory. Just I'm talking about as if COVID was like 20 years ago, but like for some reason, one thing that really screwed with me was like the outside of something like a Walmart, you just had like a blue police light, and it would just say the same sentence over and over.
Oh, cool.
Be like, Walmart cares about your, please remain 6 feet away. And I just always would think, like, if I was in a coma and woke up here, I'd be like, what the fuck is happening right
a little
now?
bit.
Like, you know, how, like, to go from 0 to that would be so terrifying without, like, the whole timeline. Yeah.
And then we ended up here, like you said in your tweet the other day, just this whole space has lost its fucking minds this summer. We do live in the chaotic timeline, it turns out.
The music tube, or whatever you want to call it, space.
I'm just so sick of it. I got one the other day. I was talking, or I guess it was a little while ago now. I was talking with another YouTuber, and it was funny because he mentioned a collab project he was working on with another person, and he was like, well, I got told that, you know, don't worry about the music. It doesn't really matter. Just like worry about the video thing. And it really made me laugh because it was like, yeah, music is secondary for music tube. That's right. And I think that is the nature of a lot of it anymore. And like at the same time, though, I don't necessarily get too bothered by that because it's like, you know, people who review computers or something aren't like building GPUs. So it's like if you're just really into like reviewing and playing with pieces of gear, that's fine. And like maybe you're not someone who like wants to make music. But at the same time, I feel like people put on this front, and I think, you know, that's the grifting space we've landed in, and that's the thing that really frustrates me. Is just, you know, people putting on this front that they have these secrets of the producers and whatever, and it's like all they do is fucking review plugins all day. So
Busy works beats.
Yeah, I don't even understand. The level of grift is insane.
Yeah. I kept my mouth shut with him up until this last few things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like initially a couple years ago, you know, it's just like I can respect the business mindset and I can respect the strategy and stuff, but then it just got so ridiculous. And then especially, just in all this has been like in the last couple of weeks, hasn't it? I mean, just goddamn, it's been a blur.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. I think it pisses people off because we're at a point where people are seeing through the veil of like music YouTube, but also like there are people lifting the veil on it accidentally, which is just kind of funny to witness.
It doesn't have like a lot of what do you call it? Like when you are actually carrying yourself with dignity, like and you know, being transparent about stuff. It doesn't really have. I guess it doesn't have a lot of dignity, I guess is the right way of putting it.
Yeah, I was just literally thinking the other day. I was like, "Wow, NPC Gate was almost a year ago."
Fuck me.
Like, wow, a lot has happened in that year. Like,
and that's why it was really just these couple things back to back to back that was what a big part of what pushed me out of it, and just understanding like my heart's not in this anymore, and it brings me no joy to produce videos about these things. And again, it just like doesn't challenge you after a while.
You know what? Have you guys seen the meme where it's like he's like talking to my friends about problems, and it's a guy like slamming a domino down. The domino just says capitalism on it. I'm just gonna bring that back, because like if you look at like why does someone do a burnout bait video? Well, because it's gonna make them money.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
Well, and that's the thing, is like the mark of a burnout bait video is it a burnout video that's monetized?
Right. Yes.
And in my research for my video I'm working on, every single burnout bait video is like monetized either with front ads and back cap ads or mid ads too.
Yummy.
And every one that like just ripped me apart to watch was just not monetized, not anything, you know, no intro, no join my Patreon, no anything. It's just like, I am done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny because even in those videos you see the people in the comments just like, you fucking idiot, you whiny entitled dick.
The fuck?
And I think that's the thing that frustrates a lot of people with content like that. And I've noticed that in my own comments, is like when you try to approach things with a more like human perspective and like show more of yourself and be vulnerable in this space,
it does not go well.
It doesn't work. Yeah, people get super mad about it, but I don't know. Luckily, it's like sort of worked for me. But like, it's been interesting to see the other side of it too.
It really is frustrating that like the more that you put yourself into it, the more that you're like, wow, I really feel like I'm connecting to my authentic self when I said this thing in here. How that is considered sort of like a sign of like weakness, or that people can't really connect with you once you've actually like been vulnerable, really. Like, and that's really terrifying, honestly.
Well,
like,
I think that was a huge risk that like terrified me with some of my content, was like, all right, I'm really going to talk about this shit now. You know, like I'm going to bring the conversations, like I'm going to bring the conversations I have with you guys and all my musician friends of all levels of the totem pole. Like I'm going to bring these conversations out, and not even my musician friends, but like all my creative friends, the guys and, you know, girls and everyone else I know that works in like film production or art direction or stuff like that. Like these are the conversations we have.
Don't
so let's
work
be
in
fucking
film
real
production,
about it.
silly.
Right? Yeah, there is that.
No. Well, no, I literally just like was looking to hire camera people, and I was just like scrolling through 50 applicants on what is it, a production hub or whatever. I'm one of those, and I was just like, everyone's a white dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Every single one, like, Jesus Christ.
And it makes me so mad to think, though, that it's hard to be real anymore. And I think it's because a lot of content creators have spoiled this space. But I think it was maybe Jeremy that mentioned it. But it's like content is the problem with YouTube.
Content
the idea of content.
Yeah. Like I think about this a lot. It's like, did you make something that is going to be something that like in a few years someone will come across and be helped by in some way or another? I mean, there's the entertainment aspect of YouTube. That's legit. Make something funny, make something like horrifying. Like you can make like art on here. And I mean, I consume a lot of that here, but like when in the music tech space, it's a lot harder. It's like, what are you going to make that like that has any sort of lasting, you know, impacts, I guess.
And that was a big pivot point with a lot of what I've been doing too, is like trying to get into other stuff, because it just, everything felt so hollow and pointless within the music space a lot of the time. And then like as well, you know, and I think Ben and I have talked about this a little bit, or maybe it was all of us in the chat, but you know, the idea of like when I'm actually working on music and I'm really working on like, you know, like my own albums or like a client score or something, I don't want to show that process because I can't be in the right space to do that.
No. Every single time I thought about documenting like a real creative process, like when I actually want to make something for real, no way.
And it's like, it's not that I don't want to talk about that, but it's like, I cannot get, like these two spaces have to exist separately.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, I don't know, it's
annoying. It's sort of the same thing too. Is like I'm so much more crotchety about flashbulb stuff. Where like any company that wants to like work on something, or people offering me, you know, trying to get me to play gigs or something, and it's like
really,
I make the rules. You don't get in.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like this is my baby. This is the thing that's like kept me alive my entire life. This is how I express myself. You don't get to touch that. I'll release it when I want to release it. No record labels, no manager.
Yeah.
nothing, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things about being a musician in your position is that you theoretically do have the ultimate, well, at least maybe penultimate agency. Like obviously you're still dependent on the transaction of money somehow, you know, getting to you. But yeah, if you have that kind of position of power and agency with your art, then that's really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where it's even releasing music for a really long time. I would make music like that, you know, would probably fit as the flashbulb stuff, and then just delete it. You know, literally master.
Well,
it
like
and
that's the
delete
thing
it.
is you make music for fun, and
Yeah.
like that's a huge
Well,
part of it for everybody. Like I
or
make
is, like,
shit all the time and delete it.
You know, like I've never been able to meditate in my entire life. I've never been able to do that, but making music is my meditation. You know, it's like that's
No, absolutely. Well, and that's one of the beauties of modular, and that was like a video I wanted to do for a long time. Was like with, you know, generative patching or just modular patching in general. There's something to be said for the process of creating something that only exists in that moment, and then it's over forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a beautiful process, honestly.
And it sucks to see just how hollow and shallow this whole space became, and like especially some of the things I've noticed is like in working with a couple companies, because I've done some contract work, kind of on like the marketing end, and you know, working with companies to help them like learn how to reach out to influencers, you know, in our space and in other spaces, and just like how do you do this? What does a budget look like? You know, how do you spot what makes a good creator and things like that? And knowing like not only what some people in certain spaces got paid for their videos, but like seeing behind their channel a little bit really just screws you up in a way where it's like it's all gross. It's all really gross. And then you go and, you know, then you see like they're selling, you know, how to get a Spotify following for $199.
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those channels.
And I
I'm
think
not gonna
that's been the
name
thing where
names,
it's like
but,
I've really lately been considering just deleting all of my old content off YouTube that was like music specific and just moving it to my Patreon program or something, because getting into the music space is one of the biggest things I regret about my channel every day.
Do you really think that it would benefit you to do that? Like
in a way, yes and no, because I feel like it resets the expectation of like why I leave it up is I think it's important to show an archive of like not only my own progression, but the progression of my channel, the progression of my work, and things like that. And it means a lot to me even to look back. Like when I'm having a really bad day, just to look back and be like, I've done something since then.
I really wouldn't get rid of it.
But at the same time, it's like when people discover your channel through that, you know, like my free plugins videos or something, for instance, then I post a video that's on, you know, something a little different or whatever, like the stuff I've been doing lately, then I just get all these people bitching and moaning about,
you just
like,
didn't have to like yeah, I mean, you have to just.
But at the same time, it's like I say all the time, you know, I see this shit and it bothers me in that instant. But then when I think about it a bit more, it's like, you know, I'm not making videos for you anyway. I make videos for myself because it's like content is the problem, and I don't want to produce content. I want to put the level of effort I put into my music and whatever. Like I want to make art on that level. Like I don't, you know, my videos aren't like fine art videos or something, but like I want to be able to put that same degree of passion into the content.
There's a YouTuber named T1J. He does video essays. He's sort of part of the BreadTube circle. He just put out a video about YouTube, about making content on YouTube, about what he thinks makes a good video essay, which I do think, Cameron, to an extent, you are kind of circling around a little bit in terms of how
I think that's kind of where I've gone, is somewhere between like an essay space and I don't know, something a little bit different. And I think it's just, you know, we are the amalgamation of our influence. Yeah. And I think that's pretty representative in my channel.
He specifically, though, like had videos that he brought up that like back when he started, he's like, I really want to take it down. Like in terms of like the way that it's presented, the quality of it, all that is like, I really want to take it down, but I don't. And exactly because of what you just said, like those exact things.
I mean, look at iDubbbz. Like, you know, look at that whole turnaround and situation, and like I'm trying to think, has he taken? I think he's left most of the videos up that he regrets making.
Mm-hmm.
Just which, like, you know, I think that was a really difficult thing for him to do.
Or if like I mean, he didn't like come out and do like an apology, but like fucking like Joji, like Filthy Frank, like his music career is amazing. Honestly, like he's
Yeah.
so much of it. He's an amazing musician. He's like done tracks with Diplo. His solo work is fantastic, and like Filthy Frank, his whole like previous channel was like absurdly just not cool. Like it was so fucking stupid and gross. And I think that stuff's still up. I don't know. Let me see if I let me see. Look it up real quick.
I think Fat Panda Cat here brings up an interesting thing. Might be worth touching on. You see more complaints because people are quicker to complain than praise. You could have 100 negative comments and not see 1,000 people that preach. And that's a big thing. Is like I was just talking to my wife about this because she works with me now, doing a lot of stuff, like moderating my channel and stuff, which has been a huge help. And I believe she's watching this live stream, so maybe that earned me a couple of brownie points. But she's been doing a big job. A wife stream. You know, she's been doing a lot of that, and it's funny because I asked her, I think it was this morning, about, you know, because she's been seeing a lot of ridiculous comments on my latest rant video, and some pretty bad stuff, and, you know, some, you know, really offensive stuff and whatever, and then the usual just like personalized attacks. And I was like, yeah, it's annoying because you know, you see all these positive comments, but they're just this blur because it's the negative ones that you have to sit there and delete that end up standing out because you have to interact with those ones. And she said, no. And that just like blew my mind a little bit, that she was like, no, like the positive ones are really, really nice. Like I really enjoy reading them. And that's the thing, is I feel like I read all my comments, but after a certain point, it's like they just run together. But it's like just on the scale that YouTube becomes after a while, it's so hard.
Yeah. T1J was also saying that like one of the things that he used to do when his channel was smaller was premieres. Like every video was a premiere. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about like, hey, what's up, Mr. Bill?
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Like, I don't think I can do that anymore, just because of the size. Like it actually hurts the channel more than helps it. I don't know why. He never ever actually said why, but like, yeah, I find that too. Is like at a certain point, it just becomes very difficult to conceive of the scale of what you're dealing with. And
well, like impressions and stuff, when you think about how many people find your channel like every month and stuff, or every year,
that YouTube like, actually shows it too. It is really wild.
Where it's like my channel reaches some like 800,000 unique people every month, and it's like I can't even think of 800,000 people. Like, what does that look like? That's like a city.
Like if I had a flashbulb show.
Right.
Someone's asking, what do we do with downvote metrics? Users can't see that anymore, unfortunately. So I'm an outlier here. I do not look at analytics at all. Like I look at the view count and I say, wow, that sucks. And then
I think I'm probably the most obsessed with analytics out of all of us,
and I'm Goldilocks.
Yeah.
I look at them. If I make like one, I'll look at them, and if like a video is performing terribly on the CTR or something, on the click-through rate, then I'll be like, all right, I'll change the thumbnail once. And then after that, I'm like, nah, I don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah,
I just love it. I love the data. I love looking at it. It's so interesting.
I did just hire a company that, well, it's like a very small, because essentially 2 people, but it's a company of youngins who understand the shorts algorithm and reels and TikToks and all those things that I'm way too old for. And they're basically just helping cut things down to that format if needed. Sometimes, and also on some like originals for that format. And I'm just trying it out. I have like a 3-month contract, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes, to see if it's possible to actually break through a little bit.
So what do you guys think of shorts, just out of curiosity?
I don't hate them. I think they're a fun opportunity to, one, re-edit parts of your video to draw attention to a video that maybe isn't doing super well, or maybe you just want to like make a small digestible version of it. And then I've actually used them for like specifically for like create like an actual creative thing. And they're fun that way too.
Yeah.
I think they're fine.
Yeah. My big problem right now that I have with shorts, the thing that I hate the most, so when you make a YouTube video and then it recommends them another video of yours at the end after they watch it, right now YouTube is exiting all of your long form videos to your shorts, which immediately brings them off of your which I'm just like, fuck. So I have to go back and like recommend a video manually rather than having it best for viewer, which is inevitably killing some of the flow with the, and so I am kind of mad about that. And also legit. Dr. Piss fuck or whatever the YouTube algorithm guy's name is. Sorry for calling
Dr.
you that.
Piss fuck.
Sorry for calling you that, sir. Please give me the bump, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did just recently say that like, no, he does not recommend cutting long form videos into shorts because it could like confuse as like ripped off content or something like that. And it's just like, well, dude,
fuck off. I'm going to do it.
It's like, so what? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to make the long form content or the short form content? Because I literally am sleeping every other day right now.
Yeah,
like,
it's ridiculous.
Literally, like it's like.
I think shorts. I hated them at first, and then it was kind of like, I think it is a fun way to be like, all right, tell me a story in 60 seconds.
That I like. I like the idea of like, because I've thought about like, okay, like way back in the day, like, well, what if I made a video where I have like animations and show how a subtractive synthesizer works to somebody who just doesn't know, and it's like meh. But in 60 seconds, that's kind of fun. Right?
And that's what I love doing is like, I love, because that's why, people are like, go back to sound design videos. And it's like, fuck that. Because no, but like sound design in 60 seconds, super
that's
fun. Like that's a great way to like do that whole thing of like, hey, how do you make a respace? Or like, what does the microcosm sound like? Or hey, did you know you could do this with like Paul Stretch and it's free?
It is so funny too to have like these editors who are like professionals with that format editing my videos to that, and just like literally like if I say, and then this moves out, and then like in their edit it'll be like a little train that's like choo choo, like just while I'm saying it. It's just like, oh my god, like really the ADHD is so strong with this format. Like you really need visuals for every
And that's why I think
word.
shorts are fun though, because it is a good creative challenge, but at the same time it's like, I think I live in the realm of long form content. That's just my thing. But it is fun to kind of push into shorts and do something a little bit different, because then it does make me think about the way I engineer videos and how do I write them and how do I structure information and stuff. So there's a lot you can learn from shorts that applies to, I think, make you make better long form content too.
Yeah.
And that's why all my future videos are just going to have fucking Subway Surfers on the bottom. So look forward to that.
Heard it here first,
Is that the game that everybody plays?
Yeah, that and the
I don't know
Minecraft jumping one.
Do people play it, or is it just used for like sludge content?
Probably a little bit of both. But
okay, now I get it. All right, all right.
I don't know. Shorts are an interesting thing with YouTube, and I think the funny thing is like I think it's because YouTube knows TikTok is such competition, and like if TikTok went into long form content, I think that's where we would see a lot of creators go, because there is no alternative to YouTube. But I think TikTok could become a like viable competitor.
I'll read an article, because apparently journalism now is reporting on TikTok videos. That's what journalism is. So it'll be like, so-and-so said this in a 5-minute TikTok video. I'm like, when the fuck did TikTok give you 5 minutes? Like, I thought it was like Vine or some shit. Like
I think they go up to 10 now.
That's insane. That seems like completely antithesis to the entire platform.
But I think that's why they're moving progressively into longer form content. Because when I saw that there was like 5 minutes on TikTok, I thought about porting some of my content there. Because it already gets stolen on TikTok all the time. So it's like, fuck it, I'll just cut out the middleman.
The issue with TikTok, or the big sort of the bubble pop with it, is that they don't want to pay creators fairly, obviously.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to do that? And so, however, on YouTube also doesn't want to pay creators fairly. So with YouTube, you could do ad reads and things like that. Whereas an ad read on TikTok, you would just have an ad read.
Yeah, it's just an ad.
Like you.
Which is another thing maybe people watching don't know, but like when you get offered sponsorships with, like companies, like the mattress companies and the mobile game companies, they have specific requirements for the length that it has to be. Even though it's not necessary, there is a requirement.
Yeah.
So like if I have to talk about, a mattress for like a minute and a half,
Yeah,
That's a minute
90
and a half
seconds,
required, whether
a
the
lot of
video is
them.
a 6-minute video or
Yeah.
it's a 25-minute video.
And then they now they're pushing into. I always see them where they're like, okay, 90 seconds in the first quarter of the video.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I got, and I'll counter with them, and I'll be like, all right, how about you suck my dick? And
Yeah.
that'll be like,
Oh no, you
we'll
said the
just
thing.
do that deal. I know, yeah.
I said the thing in my song, but I bleeped it.
Yeah, so you're
Wow.
safe.
Yeah, someone said I need
I've-
to sing a happy song, but I only know sad country songs.
I've paved the way. You could tell people to suck your dick now.
I guess I
It's
could.
an
Maybe
insult.
I'll-
You can't ask them. You have.
I cannot ask them. I can
you have to say-
insult them with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was writing another little ditty for
What's
my
your
next
title?
rant, and it's going to be something about something similar. Levi, hopefully I'm saying that right, wants to know something interesting. I'd love to hear this from you guys' perspective. Why is it that the videos we put the most time, love, and energy into always seem to perform the worst, and how do you not get discouraged by it? Because that was one of the things in my latest little tirade I was thinking about a lot, is like smaller creators on this platform, because they make up, I mean, you know, how we have a couple 100,000 subs each and whatever, but like how many people are, you know, tiny channels? And like I would argue that they're the ones that make up the majority of the YouTube and probably bring in the most revenue just in total, even though they're only getting a couple views per video or whatever. Like, you know, PewDiePie and whoever makes a big video and gets a gajillion views, but like I would think the sum total of all the small creators is like a very big chunk of the platform. So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
they
how
have
do
to
you
get-
guys?
They have to get views, right? Like
Right.
it's from the emotional standpoint, you just fucking you have to decide to just continue to make what makes you happy. But YouTube as a business, as like if you're going to treat it as a job, where growth is important and you want to, you know, treat it as a job, then you have to give the algorithm some, and you have to give yourself some. And primarily, I would say it's like 2/3 probably. Like you're going to give the algorithm 2/3 of what it wants, and then you're going to at least try to, because it's not guaranteed, right? Like just because you made something you thought was going to land well doesn't mean it's actually going to land well from a viewer perspective, but you can kind of guess. And then so basically you like bolster the algorithm, like you get the algorithm to say, hey, they're doing a good job, they're doing content that people want to see, and then you can do like, you know, your sad boy country video or whatever, and then the algorithm's like, oh cool, yeah, we'll still put this out there and people will see it. I hate that. I honestly fucking hate that. I don't think that anybody should have to think that way about content that they want to make.
Yeah, like the five for them, one for me sort of thing.
I don't like that idea, because you're going to end up spending so much time making something that's not for you, and life's too short to do that, I think, personally. So I say number one, if you loved what you made, then try to let that be enough. Try to let that be enough if you can, because I don't know about you two, I'm not making money on AdSense. Like AdSense is not my
It's a joke.
income.
Yeah, no.
So
well, like you make money off of it, but you don't account for it in your like budget,
No,
or at
it's
least you
not
shouldn't.
part
Like
of my,
none
like-
of my financial
Nope.
decisions are based off AdSense. I just
No.
whatever I get in AdSense is like just a little bonus to
It's
go
that
in
nice-
like a
a
savings
nice
account.
bottle of whiskey or something like that, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, like AdSense, I don't account for it. Whatever. It's just, you know. But it's also like it helps, but I can't count on it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's a
Alex,
Yeah.
no,
no,
Yeah.
not at all. I would say
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
on a really excellent month, maybe 30%, but on the average month, like less than that of my income is going to be from AdSense.
I get on average, just to put the number out there, between like $300 and $500 a month on AdSense. And I'm assuming most of that's coming from like my old OP1 videos, like
Right.
And
Well, and that's the thing. You have a couple big videos, and those make the
That's
money. But like
still-
the videos that get 20, 30,000 views, you don't make anything on.
Nope. It's not. It's YouTube is not the place where.
But it's because we're not in like the high earning niches, and I think that's the thing people don't understand.
I'm
Sure.
not. I mean, I feel like the sort of like third party way of making money is always going to be much higher. The ad reads, the things like that,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's why
mean,
YouTubers do it, and I think
and-
YouTube knows that, and
Yeah.
the ad companies know that. So it's a predatory market.
so
And that's why
yeah,
people get ad reads and do videos with an ad read, because then they can finance the video they actually want to make.
So my
Sure.
so like, what about Patreon? So okay, so Patreon for me is essentially funding my channel at this point in a separate business. Like it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
not even my business anymore. It's a nonprofit business that I run. And so that's kind of what Patreon's doing. And in early September, I have my first like more than $2,000 video, where like I'm actually putting a lot of fucking money into it. And the two of you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and unfortunately, it has to be a surprise. I can't let Patreon in on it, otherwise it'll ruin it.
Ruin it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's gonna be really cool though.
It will
yeah,
be, yeah.
yeah. So like, but that's probably good. Boy, fuck! I've ordered some other gear for it, so I mean, it's gonna run like 3,000 up.
But I think
So-
that's the best way to use Patreon, though, is like Patreon finances your time to make the content.
However,
and that's what I do
the thing
with it.
is if I wasn't managing a fund, and if I wasn't like doing consulting and stuff like that, like then I wouldn't be able to do that, and I would only be able to like make VCV rack tutorials and collect that and then use that money to live on.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I'm like doing a lot of like investing and shit like that as well.
Gotta diversify that portfolio, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is creators have a life cycle, and it's like I think we've maybe all got another 10 years before people just don't care who they are.
No fucking
Well-
idea. And Mr. Bill is right. That
Yeah.
is exactly.
Yeah, Bill is probably the person I respect the most right now with his business sense.
Yeah, and Bill has a really good point. And like one thing that I think about a lot is like Patreon. I want to get. I mean, I have a server. I'm leasing a dedicated server. Patreon is a really expensive fucking WordPress theme or Squarespace. You know what I mean? It's like it's really like,
and that's why I run mine through like my own website.
yeah. And so what I'm thinking about doing, I'm thinking about like, well, I mean, I'm already like starting the process is like slowly offering, hey, you could come over here and you could be a patron at the same time. As long as you're a patron, you'll get access here.
Yeah.
But I would prefer that you paid this way, and then slowly get them over, and then phase Patreon out unless Patreon really ups the game in what they offer, because I'm paying them a lot of money. It's if it were a subscription, it would. I mean, I'm paying Patreon like at this point a luxury car payment. It's like it's an absurd amount of money. I wonder if I can like duck out and pee. Yes, I
Go
can.
for it.
Okay,
But yeah, I guess how do you use your patron and stuff?
So-
I mean, that's kind of like your funding for your ideas, like to get
No,
content made.
it's my money. It's
Okay.
how I live, and the reason that it's like that for me is because I offer teaching slots through that. So I
Right,
have
okay.
I have lesson slots that are available through Patreon. So people sign up to do one-on-ones with me on a reoccurring basis, and the money from that part of it is through Patreon. So Patreon's like my main. When I get that check from Patreon at the beginning of the month, that's like the main money that I make. Like.
Yeah.
Because of the way I've structured it. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, all this negativity, it's like really we are kind of doing something pretty interesting overall.
Right.
We're not going to an office, which I think is good. And
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing is like as much as we complain sometimes, like best job in the world, wouldn't trade it for anything. Sometimes.
It's not. No, it's not. To me, it's not the best job, but like it is better than anything else I can consider right now.
Yeah.
Really, what I'd like, possibly is like to get to that, that Richard Devine level where like, you're like doing presets for everything that comes out just because like you can, and
Yeah.
you're getting every piece of gear thrown at you so that you can do a Instagram post just with all the lights blinking all at once, and that's your life.
And I think, I don't know, to some degree, though, that's the idea of patronage, which is something I wanted to touch on in the fucking bitch fest I'm making for next week. But, like, the idea of patronage being, like, it used to be people financed artists they believed in, but also artists that created work that they felt was valuable. So for the original patrons, it was the idea of creating a collection of things that were the most valuable things. And I think that's a lot of the way forward with the creators, and I think that's why I think part of my next strategy is trying to make my channel ad-free.
Yeah.
And that's like why I have my patron stuff, is to fund my time it takes to make my videos and do it in a way to where, like, you know, as the patron program grows, I'm able to put more and more effort into the content and really focus on, you know, the lighting, the cinematography, the grading, the editing, the, you know, everything about it.
I'm just reading the comments and
Yeah, me too.
listening
Yeah,
to the
I know we've had a
talking.
couple questions.
Yes.
I know
Wait, Bill had a good one. There we go.
Pete had another one.
I
too.
was just answering that. So, Mr. Bill asked, do you see one-on-ones is worth it? Oh, puppy. Always think of time equals money. I feel like if I spent an hour on toots or music or building a set, it'll ultimately be worth it than one-on-one. I mean, so it's all about what will you get paid for? Okay, so like an hour on tutorials, great. So where are you putting those tutorials? Like, where are you getting paid for those tutorials? Do you have a platform to monetize them? Not everybody has that. So like I would do like courses if I had like a good relationship with a place that wanted to do courses.
Right.
It's like I don't right now. Working on music. Okay, well, I don't really like, to me, the money I get from my music is like kind of like AdSense. Like it exists, but it's not like what I make my living off of. Building a set, I don't fucking play live. I have such crippling anxiety. I asked to be taken off a headliner and put at 9 o'clock for a gig next week. Like it's not viable to me. So it's cool if you have these things, but I don't have access to these things for whatever reason. And so for me, one-on-one lessons are the best thing for me to do that I can conceive of right now. As opportunities present themselves, I'll take those.
Yeah, for me, I've been more like thinking of going the courses route, because I think the thing with courses too, and this is especially prevalent in like the grifting space of music tube and other tubes, you know, like creating a course, especially on the stuff that's like how to become a big YouTuber, and it's like, well, you did that one time.
Yeah.
Like you made one channel that was successful, and if you had to do it again today, you couldn't. But that's why, like, I think course-wise, that's what I want to move into, because I would agree with Bill that I don't think the one-on-one lessons would be the best thing for me to do, because, yeah, the time factor, like it would just eat into my day. But that's also because it eats into my ability to do like my day job.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It's also like a lot of times if you're, you know, one-on-one lessons are really rewarding.
They can be, yeah, absolutely.
In ways other than finance.
Yeah,
you know,
I've worked with a couple like college students doing like mentor programs, and that's been awesome. And but I get a lot more out of that than I would like one-on-one lessons.
Ooh, here's a good one.
Yes, I do. And if you go watch some of their old videos, you might discover a familiar silky baritone.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it if you can't see the mustache.
It is not. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to write. All the old heads, they write books.
Books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Warren, didn't Warren just write one? Oh, Warren wrote a couple. What's his name?
I never learned how to read.
His channel. Yeah.
I mean, you can't have something bad to your brain if you never read bad things. So it's probably
right. Did Rick Beato write a book?
The Beato book.
The Beato book. Let's see. Beato book.
Oh yeah. I see a comment there.
Yeah, the Beato book interactive.
I think he also tours where you could just like pay a fee and enter a tent, and his child will like know perfect pitch.
He runs a sideshow of perfect pitch kid.
Yeah.
Can grifting be defined? Grifting is taking advantage of your. God, okay. Like I'm just gonna find a Webster dictionary.
It's pretending to have authority on a subject.
I just say scamming.
For the most part.
Yeah.
It's scamming. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So pretending to have authority on it is part of the grift. That's a big portion of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I do feel like a lot of times in videos I have to kind of be like, I have to pretend that I'm a 10 out of 10 on this thing when I'm really an 8 out of 10, because if I speak with that authority, then people, you know, then the viewer will learn better. Like that's sort of, but you know, they're it's a very delicate thing because you could really speak, you know, you do have to like, humble yourself. Oh, is this what we're doing? Okay.
Hey, they wanted to come up. I heard him scream at the door. Poor feller.
Lucy's like, I don't want to look at this shit.
He's got allergies. He's
Okay,
just
Wrecker, you
simple
wanna come up?
hound dog.
Everyone's doing dog stuff. Come here.
Everyone's doing dog stuff.
Wow.
Aw. What do you think, Ollie? You don't know. You don't know.
I'm gonna
what's
have to
going
take
on,
them
baby.
out here.
Yeah.
That's why they're in here. They're like bugging the shit out of me because they're like, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to go.
Well, it is 4 minutes from the 2-hour minimum
perfect.
that's at the stream.
So I guess we got any other like burning questions we should knock out?
Yeah,
Any last
like
minute
any quick questions?
Yeah, and they have to be quick, otherwise
Quickies. Yes,
dogs
no's.
piss everywhere.
Yep, they are. They probably already did, honestly.
What would be your ideal funding method? Patreon, probably.
Yeah, Patreon works. The thing about Patreon is the less you can do for the money that you make on Patreon, the better. So like patronage, you're already creating the content. Like for YouTube, theoretically, Patreon should just mostly be about like, we like what you do. Here's money to support you. The more that you get involved with Patreon and producing stuff specifically for it, the more complicated it gets. I saw one real quick. What do you guys teach? I teach music production stuff, music technology stuff.
I do like guest lectures every once in a while, kind of on music and creativity, and every once in a while like the business side of things, like sound design and whatever. I've done a couple of things like that.
I teach boxing more
Yeah.
than I teach anything else, which is very odd. I teach striking, but I think because it's so fucking separate from everything else in my life. That
It's a nice it's a
and
nice
outlet, yeah.
thing.
and it's a great way to keep in shape. Why don't you guys all stream yourselves?
Well,
chat
we
together
can.
more?
Well,
totally can.
I watched the Unsubscribe podcast with some of my favorite tubers, and I was talking to my wife, and I was very sad that we can't do an Unsubscribe podcast of us all in the same room yelling at each other, eating hot wings and stuff.
That would be fun.
Well, I mean, we're trying to do it at NobCon
Oh,
in
yeah.
Chicago. We're trying to do this live.
Yeah.
Streamed, I don't know yet. Recorded, I'm sure.
We're working on it.
But yeah, it's been a very slow, frankly, not the
we hope to make it
funnest.
happen. We think it would be really fun, but we're
it's
trying.
like it's feeling a little bit like emailing T-Mobile support or something.
Yeah.
Or something. Like it's going very slow.
But I did whip up those really cool designs.
Oh,
Those
Cameron
were great.
Cameron came up with some fucking banger T-shirt designs. that
I don't know
hopefully
if I can send an image file here, or else I'd toss them in. But
the what do we call it? The
Shriveled Husk Sad Boy
Shriveled
Club.
Husk Sad Boy Club. Yes. Look for the merch drop.
Yeah. So, what other questions? What's the brown stuff you're drinking? This is possibly the last bottle of Buffalo Trace on Earth, thanks
my
to my
goodness.
sister-in-law.
What?
And it's really
Oh,
hard to find
that
around
was a
here
good
for some
question.
reason.
Oh, I'm like, I swear I just saw some.
Are you guys, Cameron and Ben, and I guess Jeremy too, maybe? Are you guys full-time gigs, music/art related? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, basically, not like a full time performing musician. That's not my
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I take gigs as a researcher sometimes for like private researcher, and more recently as I took one gig where I literally on my fucking paycheck I was an economist. I'm like, wow, this keeps getting cooler and cooler.
Yeah, I do a lot of like creative stuff. Sometimes I
Yeah.
do like video production work. Sometimes I work on like things like that, and then I do like some consulting gigs. But the majority of it, yeah, is like composition stuff or sound design or whatever, and then like working with brands sometimes to like help them do things and
They
whatever.
need so
But yeah,
much
everything
help.
I do is like creative related,
They're so
Yeah.
lost. They're so confused. The poor little brands.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
All right.
Any other flash questions?
Do you have any recommendations for what services best for hosting your portfolio for music and creative stuff? That's a big one.
Oh, I was
mean,
going to say something,
yeah,
but I don't
smart.
think it's out yet.
Mark, yes, I agree that would be great, and we should
Yeah.
try to do it. I think
Well, I think
We
we're
can-
all fans of a lot of like the female producer YouTube. There's like some amazing content creators in this space, and there's a lot of really
Yeah,
badass musicians too.
Jade Wee, if she's not going this year to NobCon, but I would have, I was hanging out with her last year. We didn't do a stream, but yeah, I would 100% have her on one. I don't know if that might, I'm not sure if there will be any more women in NobCon.
Probably not.
Yeah. Like, well, I
Pete-
guess like the hotel receptionist or something.
Pete,
Some
Peter's asking what chord pack should he get for his next banger.
The whatever the
Unison. There's only Unison. Just keep buying the Unison pack over and over again.
over and over, and eventually you'll
Yeah.
unlock talent. It when you unlock talent, it pops up above your head and says you're now a musician.
yeah,
And
I'm
I
putting,
responded to Mr. Bill's thing in the chat. I'll just say it again. Yeah.
okay, yeah. You guys
Bill-
should do. You should be on his podcast, by the way, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to. Mr. Bill did exactly what I think that one should do when faced with a sort of a like whoopsie, a fucky wucky. Let me go learn about the fucky wucky that I did, and then come back with a more perspective. Unfortunately, that's not the case with some other industry people.
Do we just say it?
Yeah, I mean, I want to try to get a little bit more unambiguous information about what's going on with Spitfire before I say anything out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Bill, let's talk about that. Well, I'll have Ben try to email each other or something like that. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Cool. Well, I guess
Well,
that's.
I think that
Yeah.
nails it down. Everybody, be sure to support all your favorite creators on Patreon. Everybody, subscribe to Ben and
Okay,
Jeremy
come
if you
on.
haven't already.
And Cameron. All the people.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really do music stuff anymore, but sure.
Yeah, but listen to that voice.
if you need
listen to
something,
the
if you need
voice.
something to fall asleep to, I've got a hell of a channel for you. And for Charity Stream Week this year, I think I am going to read the Manual of a Synth.
Oh
I
my
haven't-
God! But
I
which
haven't
one?
decided yet.
Yeah,
I was gonna do Dune 3 just because I love that plugin so much, or like generate, or just like get the Polybrute manual or something. But then like get like a plinky generative thing in the background and be like, you
Yeah.
know, thank you for purchasing the Waldorf Iridium. Welcome to the future of sound.
There's some
Do it
really
for Behringer
weird.
stuff.
Yeah,
do it for
really
the
weird-
Behringer TD303 filled with cum. You think you know cum? You don't know Behringer.
It's going up.
Oh no! It has to go up. Come on, we hit 10. hit
all right.
something.
All right. Boys,
Okay.
I'm bringing the cum.
Wow.
On that
You
note,
could just charge people. People could pay you money to read things.
My wife is very obsessed with Book Talk, and she's mentioned multiple times I should go on Book Talk and just read like steamy book passages from like the male character perspective of, you know, I'm not going to say it on a stream here, but there's some spicy books out there.
yeah,
And I feel like I'd have a great voice for that, because that's what I did when I was a teenager. I did radio spots for like
I
commercials.
can hear that. Yeah, absolutely. The description for this video is pertinent now. It says, "Now see, this is what the holidays are all about. 3 buddies sitting around chewing cum."
Yeah, exactly. Well, on that note, I guess that's it. I think this is a great stream. So
Yeah,
thanks
thanks,
for
y'all.
hanging, everybody.
All
Got a
right.
lot of people watching. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I think
right.
I don't know how to end this. So
yeah.
Just slurp it all down and then pass out.
See
All
you
right.
later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Nice.
Now I have to mute everybody. There.